Hi, it's Richard here with another in our series of example project videos. This one is talking about the example project called Patient Safety Incidents. I've probably said this 1,000 times, but I'll say it one more time, that you can get the example projects from the front page of Oracle Policy Modeling by clicking Example Projects, and then you can filter by business type, you can filter by features, or in our case, we're simply going straight through the list in alphabetical order, which leads us to Patient Safety Incidents. Patient Safety Incidents, as you can probably imagine, is from the healthcare domain, and is a very lightweight project from a study point of view. It shouldn't take you too long to get a handle on what it does, but it aims to show a couple of key things. First of all, it uses an Excel rule. It uses some Word rules with some good structure in them. It has some embedded HTML, and it also has a special control called a CAPTCHA control, sometimes called I am not a robot. And as a result, it's a good choice if you're quite new to Oracle Intelligent Advisor, because it's not too heavyweight. Plus, it's probably a scenario that is not that difficult to understand. I've already opened it, so let's go and have a look at the data model. As you can see, it is very straightforward. It is all one level, and it's all yes-no answers. So it's all Booleans. And as far as the interview is concerned, aside from the front page, which has details of where the original idea for the project came from, which is a UK National Health Service document, most of the other pages will be fairly simple in structure. So this is the I am not a robot that I was talking about. So this is a CAPTCHA control that's been added to the screen, which we probably haven't talked about, but most of you will know what it is. If you're interested in using another kind of CAPTCHA, because of course there are many different kinds of CAPTCHA, there's a link in the article to a previous article we wrote about using different CAPTCHAs. When we reach the main part of the interview, it is really very simple, because each screen essentially asks one question, which corresponds to the majority of questions that you can see here. And when you reach the end of the interview, in the same way, there's a bunch of yes-nos, or bunch of Booleans, and why they are true or false. Whether the patient safety incident was caused by deliberate harm, or the incapacity of the individual, or poor foresight, or poor training, whatever it was. So if you look at the list of data items, half of them I would say are the questions that you will be asking in the interview. Most likely this part here, where you can see all of the inputs. Some of them are intermediate attributes, so they are derived from the inputs. And if, for example, you're in good health if, and you can see there's a both there, so if two of these things are true, then you're in good health. And down at the bottom, you'll see a variety of goals, and these are the goals that are stated at the end of the interview. And obviously not all of them will be true, but some of them will be true and some of them will be false. So very straightforward, nice learning opportunity for us. Let's take a look at the rules themselves. Let's start with the Word document. As I showed you a moment ago, most of the rules are fairly straightforward, and they offer a good learning experience if you're new to Intelligent Advisor. For example, how to write structured rules using the aggregators like both and either and. So you can see this is level 1 and this is level 2, using the color scheme from up here. So that should be fairly straightforward to understand. And there's a variety of them that take into account all the different criteria that we spoke about. In the Excel file, we have, if you like, the 4 or 5 major outcomes, and these are driven by the various inputs that we spoke about. So true, false. So this is almost like a table of truth to say which combination of the inputs provides the relevant output. So aside from that, all that remains to be done is to debug the interview and give it a run. So we'll go into the interview and we'll start the interview. We'll enter our CAPTCHA control value. I always get these wrong. And we start rolling through the different inputs. So intentional actions, adverse consequences were not intended, evidence of ill health, no, substance abuse, yes, have a medical condition, yes, Took an unacceptable risk. Yeah, no. So poor foresight by the individual. So the patient safety report tells us that we should then advise, we should consult with our trade union representative and consider one of the following. So a fairly straightforward outcome, and I can see the details behind that by clicking on the explanation. So it's a good opportunity from a learning perspective to learn all about the following items. I think it's a good opportunity, like I showed you, to learn about structured rules. It's a good opportunity to learn about explanations and how we use logic to show or hide these explanations. And if you want to modify the explanation behavior, such as this was one of the attributes, you could, of course, change the explanation options in the explanation options of the attribute. And likewise, I'd say it's a good opportunity to consider how you might take one of these Booleans, which at the moment obviously can only be true or false, and consider turning them into more complex, for example, a drop-down with 3 choices instead of 2. Or you could then return to the goals and you could consider how the different different conditions affect the different outcomes by playing with which conditions are true, which conditions are false, and observing that the outcome changes. Straightforward, simple project, good learning opportunity. What more could you ask for?